Boy, that moon looks so full and so cool tonight. Mr. Foxy, you and I have been, well, together for about a year now. Because Somna has come and gone, and well, I can't believe that a year ago I decided to go on this journey. And you've been in almost every single Vrchat 101. But there's so many different things that have been updated. I think it's probably time to redo one of my videos. Hey, speaking of which, hi there, friends. It's Dr. Choi here. The doctor is in. It's hard to believe, but about a year ago, back in June, I would say the second week of June, I uploaded my very first ever Vrchat 101, and it was titled How to Film in Vrchat. And we were sitting here on the, this is actually the porch level of level number 5. You guys have only seen this for a few episodes, but me and Mr. Foxy over here, we're realizing something. Back then, I really had no idea how to shoot these episodes. Because back then, there was no Traveling Nardo, there was none of this other series or anything like that. I was just a simple Nardo here on Vrchat. And since then, we've done a ton of different things. We've told you about, doing this and not doing that. We told you that it was okay to cry. We also went through, anger management and everything like that. But, I kind of want to go back. I want to turn the clock back a little bit and maybe redo my very first video now that it's more updated. Because now we've established that, I'm the host of Vrchat 101. This guy is, pretty cool. We also established that my good buddy here, Mr. Foxy, has been my pet for about a year now. And you know what? I'll let you guys in a little secret. There are way more people now who want to get into PC VR and also, start recording stuff. So, this video is for you. So for all you questies out there who are just about ready to break your shell and get into PC VR, this particular Vrchat 101 is going to help you folks on how to use the camera, what kind of system or capturing system that you should be using, and also how to film the right way and not film the wrong way. In other words, making you a content creator and not an influencer. In a little segment I like to call How to Film in Vrchat Redo. Roll the intro. So, you just got a computer, and you got yourself a good headset, and you want to start filming stuff in Vrchat. I'll tell you one thing, Vrchat videos are kind of a niche fandom, because it's really only the big names that, pop up on the list on YouTube. But, don't let that discourage you. So, let's start things off a little bit by telling you a little bit about what PC VR is. PC VR is basically the system that is part of the MetaQuest. What it does is that the headset talks to your computer, and it runs Vrchat on not only your computer, but also here. And what that does is very simple. there are certain worlds and certain textures that you can only see if you have a PC. And unfortunately, a lot of you Questies out there right now are thinking, well, wait a second, I can't even see anything. I can't see the textures. Yeah, that's because Quest does not have a very powerful headset to actually load in those textures. In fact, I'm recording right now in PC VR. That's why you can see the textures on my glove, my shirt, and even the plant behind me. So, when you go to do PC VR, there's a few things you need. First things first, and this is obvious, you need a good computer, a good internet connection, and also, above all, a good headset. Now, of course, there is the Valve Index and all that stuff, but for this one, we're just sticking with the Quest. So once you get your PC VR figured out, now it's time to figure out which video capturing software you want to use. I recommend two specific ones that are actually really fun to use, but are also the most popular. They are Bandicam and OBS. Now, a lot of people are going to recommend Bandicam for you. But here's the thing. I like to use Bandicam the most. Why, you may ask? Well, Bandicam just seems to really smooth out the video, and plus, it also allows you to take a few chances, make mistakes, and even get a little messy on tape. Now, OBS is a free option, but I feel like OBS is better for like streaming than it is recording videos. However, if you got some money lying around, if you buy a license to use Bandicam, guess what? They have an option where you can actually get it for life. That's right. In fact, even if you change computers, as long as you keep the little serial number that they actually provide to you in the email, you can take Bandicam to any computer you wish. Like if you want to put it on a friend's computer, that's fine. You have a brand new computer that is replacing your old one? Okay, cool. Plus OBS and Bandicam are a lot of fun to use. Now, when you're going to record with both of them, there is two major things, actually three major things to remember. First things first, make sure you have an external drive connected to your PC. Why? Well, filming in Vrchat is going to take up a lot of space. In fact, here's something rather interesting. My brother, Arlo the Traveling Nardo, when he came back from, I think it was Africa, he had over 20 gigabytes of footage. 20. Yeah. Do you want 20 gigabytes on your computer? No. So get an external drive so that way you can actually put your footage over there. So make sure you have an external drive or some place where you can actually put some of these clips and things like that. Also, set your audio. Set your audio channels for the output and the input. Because here's the thing. When you actually go to install everything and get PC VR taken care of, one of the things that is going to happen is that one of the speakers you can use is going to be called Oculus earbuds or Oculus Quest. So make sure that in your speaker input, basically where the sound is going to be captured from, that you put it on Oculus earbuds. This way, it picks up all the sounds in game, from like map sounds to even like sounds of your avatar, and also with the microphone too. If you have an external microphone, like let's say I'm using my Blue Yeti over here, which is actually off camera, make sure it's set to that. That way it picks up your sultry voice. And the other thing with Bandicam is that you can either do a gain capture or a monitor capture. Gain capture is what it's actually doing right now, is that it's actually capturing what I have on my viewfinder. So this is exactly what it's looking like. It's nice and smooth for the most part, and you don't see any borders. Monitor captures, basically capture whatever it is that you decide to put on the monitor. However, as stated in the first video,
monitor capture can lag out.
So only use monitor capture if, like, you're having a really hard time recording stuff. But you shouldn't have too much of a problem, especially when it comes to, recording in-game. Now, you could use OBS, and I know that that's like the free option and everything, but again, I believe that's better as a streaming app, and not so much a video capture place. So make sure you use Bandicam, and just pay up the money, okay? Because you know what, $39, it's well worth spending. Because I mean, I've had Bandicam for years, and it's never failed me. It's never really failed me at all. So now that you have your capturing software, figured out and everything, now it's time to kind of figure out how do you capture it using the in-game camera. Now, let me explain something. If you are a Questie, it's right here in your controllers. You literally have to hold down on your Jesus Christ. Looked like I had an expression explosion. All you have to do is just simply hold down your triggers until you see the red light. However, the problem is that with being a Questie, you don't get to capture anything that's really good. And sometimes it's a little bit shaky and a little bit janky. That's where the in-game camera comes in. Because right now, on camera mode, it's actually on stream. That means that it is stationary. I can also do this. I can move around, I can be all silly and everything, and the camera stays stationary. It isn't until I put it on flying mode where it actually can move. Now, here's the reason why that we put our camera on camera mode. On stream mode. Do you remember going back to the very beginning of this year, 2025, when I released the video, how to handle not getting motion sickness in Vrchat? I actually showed you guys what happens if you do not put your headset and everything on stream mode when you have the camera out, especially if you're going to record. So you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like. So if you're squeamish and if you're having a little issue or you get motion sickness, please look away for the next few seconds, okay? But I'm about to take this thing off of stream mode in about 3, 2, 1. So right now, here we are. This is the view that you guys are seeing, and as you can see, it's not very stable at all. In fact, as I look around, it's very janky. It's very all weird. It kind of makes it look like that that some young person is filming this. Filming it in one of those public instances where you're afraid somebody's going to drop an N-bomb right away. All right, back to stream. By the way, you guys can go ahead and look back over here. Anyway, so make sure that you put your camera on stream. And it's very easy because when you pull out your camera, the third button in line is actually camera mode, where you can actually put it on stream, or make it set so you can take a gallery photo, user icon, sticker, print, yada yada yada. Now, when it comes to moving the camera around, when you're here on stream, it stays stationary. However, if you go one side more, you'll find another bunch of tabs, and you'll hit where it says anchor. Right now, I have this set to world anchor, which means that I can do this. Watch this. So I can actually move all the way back here, back towards my ficus, but it's still recording. Maybe I go over here towards the elevator. I'm out of the frame, but it's still recording. Or maybe I go in here in my bedroom, and it's still recording. But now watch what happens. If I put this on local or default, now watch what happens when I actually move. See that? The camera actually moves while I'm moving. And this is also pretty good for, those different shots, like if you wanted to walk and talk to the viewers at home and things. However, two big problems with this. Number one, you need to move really slow, okay? And you need to make sure that you don't, like make any sudden turns, with your controllers. The reasoning behind that is because you can make everybody get really sick. Okay? Now, again, if you saw my how to handle being motion sickness, or how to handle motion sickness and getting seasick here in Vrchat, you know that if I spin around, you want to focus on me, because you want to focus on something stationary. Okay, let's stop. Because I could tell, I can see some of you out there, some that are actually subscribed and some that are not subscribed, so that you guys are going to get sick. But by the way, for the ones that are not subscribed, make sure you hit the... No, we don't do that in the middle of the video. We wait. We wait until the end of the video to say, like, comment, and subscribe. Because you know what? It's better that way. It's way better that way. Anyway, back to the business at hand. So there's so many different, things that you can do, to film, and there's also a lot of different things that you can even do, to get that perfect shot. In fact, here, let's go down a few levels, and let me actually show you some of the different camera angles that you can use for some of your series, as well as some of your other, things that you want to film. So we're going to head down a few floors right about now. Here we are, not in front of the red board right now, but here on level 2 of my house. So now it's kind of time to show you some of the different shots that you guys can actually work with. So here's a couple of different shots. Like, for example, this is just a simple shot like, we've been using. But what if you want to kind of like have an over-the-head shot? Well, then all you gotta do is do this. You just have to move the camera upwards using your flying tool, then angle it downwards like that. And see that? Now you have this really cool shot where now if I just walk around the corner here, you can actually have a character, do something like this. They could, walk easily, like this, or maybe, what if they're being sneaky? Just follow my moves and sneak around, pretending not to make a sound. I know it's a dead meme, but you know what? I had to do it. Okay, zoom out. A little more, thank you. Or, it could also even be something as if you have like a chase or something like that. Like this. You can have your subjects, race around the corner like so. Now you can also do another shot like this. You can also do like a ground shot and just point it upwards, like so. Have it off center. This also works too if you want to get like those really good action shots, But here's the thing though, it makes your character look a little bit taller. And again, same thing, especially when you're filming, you can basically have it so like it can look like that there's an important deal, or whatever it is that you want to have happen. Just be careful though, because who knows what kind of costumes or things that your subjects might have. Because here's the thing, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Always double check and make sure that your subjects do not have any NSFW stuff. Because the last thing you guys need, especially when filming, is when there is a schwing or a hot dog bun right in the middle of your screen. No. I mean, unless you're making, only Vrchat content, I mean, I guess that works. But, avoid that, okay? One of my other favorite camera angles is to actually set the camera up in some of these little areas right here. Because you know what? It can actually help you out quite a lot. Because then you can have like the different characters, come up to here, and you can actually have a bunch of stuff happening in the background. This is something that I actually like to call, utilizing the set. Because there is so many different things that you can actually use. Oops, hello. We almost went into the wall there. But think of it this way. Every camera angle that you use is up to you how you want to do this. Here, let me back up a little bit and then let's zoom in. Let's zoom in. That's better. Every camera angle that you want to use is something that you probably have seen on regular television, or even in your favorite YouTube videos. But keep this in mind. Don't rely heavily on too many camera shots, because here's the thing: if you have a shot that's like big, then small, then up close, and then far away, and everything like that, you're just going to make your subjects, and you're also going to make yourself get a little bit lost in translation. But here's something to keep in mind as well. Keep your shots simple, okay? Keep your shots simple when you first start out. Then, as you progress through your filming here in Vrchat, then you can try some more shots. Heck, you can even try a tracking shot if you want. And you know what too? Sometimes it even helps to have somebody else with PCVR to film their version of it. Because who knows? Maybe you can do like a multi-camera shot if you want to. However, for me, I film these all on my own. Unless I have a special guest, which this time around, we don't have a special guest. But either way, just make sure you keep yourself simple. But now, the next thing you want to know, especially about how to film in Vrchat, is very simple. And I think this is also very important. How do you film your subject? And how do you keep the camera, perfectly, so that way you can just, Jesus Christ. See? See how close I got to the camera? This next part is going to all be about how you work with that. So, up to the red board, right about now. There we are. We're in front of my red board now. Finally, man. Took forever to get back over here. But now it's time to shoot your subject. No, whoa, hold, no. I don't mean shoot him like that. I mean shoot him with a camera, not a gun. Hold on a second, where'd it go? This was the gun? So uncivilized. Alright, let's get back to filming the subject. So, one of the first things that I should probably tell you is that you probably have heard of headshot, medium shot, long shot, medium shot, even close-up. Well, now I'm going to show you kind of those different shots. So we're going to start from the top and work our way down towards the bottom area. So we'll start up here with what is known as a headshot. Now, a headshot is actually very simple. If I move the camera a little bit up here, like right to about here, and then we zoom in just a little bit. Let's go in really tight here. Let's just go right here. This is what a headshot is. It's basically where you have the camera really close up on the head of whoever the subject may be. And this is also pretty good for close-ups of reaction shots, or heck, if you want to recreate that famous scene from Revenge of the Sith. Hello there. Or maybe you want, a transition where you actually get a character, getting really pissed off. But again, this isn't good for all your filming. Because here's the thing. Don't get too close to the camera. Why? Because you know what? Right now, some of you are probably watching this in Popcorn Palace, maybe even in some other places, and are wondering who the hell is this giant blue Nardo right here on my screen, and why do I think he looks cute? Yeah, I know. Yeah, you guys are thinking that right now. Don't lie. All right, let's back the camera up a little bit, because now we're going to go to the next one, which is either the chest shot. Hold on, come on, camera. We're now going to the upper chest, or a close-up shot. Now this is actually kind of fun, because look at this. So now we have a little bit more headspace, okay? There's also a little bit of room on both sides of the lens, and your subject is still here in the middle. And you can see to it, there's actually more, of me. You can actually see my shoulders and my arms a little bit. And really, this actually starts from like your chest area. This is also really good if you're like, shooting yourself from, that portion up. One of the great things though about this shot is that this is also perfect for like when you want to like, engage your viewers and things like that. But here's something else too. Remember how I mentioned headspace? See how there's a lot of headspace up here? Don't cut your subject's head off. Because see, because here's the thing, if you cut your subject's head off like this, now there's like no headroom, and it makes it look like that you cut off everything. But if I bring the camera back up, as long as you have a little bit of headspace here, that means it doesn't matter what shows behind them. They are perfectly in frame. They don't look cramped. And besides, you have this bit of space here, and this bit of space here. So we can actually move around in here, so we're not that claustrophobic. And then we also have this space here, and this space up here. And see, I can actually be in this box, I can be in this box, really easily. Of course, if this was 3D, I'd be able to snag a few of those Cheetos that I see you eating right now. Alright, on to the next shot. This next shot here is actually one of the shots that I use quite often. Oh, hold on, let's get a little headspace there. Perfect. This is also known as a medium shot, but I also tend to call this a belly button shot. Or in other words, you shoot from where your belly button is. So here, let me go ahead and break this down for you. A medium shot is usually filmed somewhere between the top end of your groin area, or somewhere around your belly button. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean your avatar's belly button. So like, my avatar's belly button is right here. And I made sure that there is a lot of room down below. But now here comes the cool part. Now you can actually see it. There's way more. You can actually see my uniform, gloves, as well as also the harness that I have on. And the best part is, another person can also be next to you. So if you were to move to this side, you could actually have as many as 2 people next to you. Yeah, it might be a little bit on the cramped side, but the thing is though, is that this is also perfect, because you can also, use your hands to kind of speak and everything. So when in doubt, always make sure that you want to, that you go with a medium shot if you're like addressing people like this. And then if we zoom the camera out just a little bit more, now we have the traditional, which is kind of a mix between, going from my knees up almost to my belly button. Now, here's the next part. The next one is a full body shot like this. Again, full body shots are a lot of fun, but here's the real deal. You need to make sure that whoever is going to be in your video is about the same height as you are, or just a little bit shorter. Because here's the thing. Let's go ahead and zoom this back into my face. I can't tell you how many times I have seen videos where I've seen these really tall avatars and these really short, mice avatars, or let's see, Tatums, Protogens, Wicker Beasts, and other things like that are like knee-high to a jackhammer. And you know what happens? If I was to stay up here, in the medium shot, and they're below me, they're not going to be seen. In fact, they're literally just going to be jumping up and down to actually, get in the shot. So, what do? Well, it's very important. What you need to do is I need to tell them this little thing. And, you know what? Come back up here really quickly so I can actually tell you. Use your height setting. No one wants to see you that low. Okay? Stop being so small and stop getting smushed every time. Do you know how many times that all of us furries, or, all the semi-furries, who are like 5 foot in height, or 5'9" or something, end up squashing you folks, or end up kicking an otter in the snoot because we can't see you because you're no bigger than a toenail clipping. Yeah, use your height controls, and that way filming goes a lot better. Okay, medium shot, please. Thank you. Now, there is one exception though. If they want to stay small, make sure that they at least make themselves a little bit taller. Just like come up to right about here. Okay? And then that should be fine. That should be totally fine. And then, you'll be okay. But again, don't go too high and don't go too low. And here's the good news though. Don't have them reach the height of your groin. Fine. Again, your belly button is going to be your best friend when it comes to getting a height. So find your belly button, whether it be your real one or your avatar one, and tell them and show them right there that is where they need to come up to. So now that you know the basics on how to film in Vrchat, what are you waiting for? Get your PC working, get your PC VR working, and give it a go. Now, I will say though, you may or may not be successful on the first go around. It might take you a few times, but you know what, buddy? I'm all for it. And like I said, you're a content creator. And a content creator comes up with ideas, as well as also, also films things that are actually meaningful. Influencers film stuff that aren't meaningful, and they tend to just do stupid stuff for views, and some of them end up in jail. So don't be an influencer. Be a content creator that you've always wanted to be. Oh, and one last thing too. Well, actually, you know what? We didn't really get into map scouting and things like that. I got it. What if I made a part 2 to this? Yeah. What if I made a part 2 and show you about lighting as well as also map scouting? I think that's what we'll do. So down the road, there will be a part 2 to this that will show you all how to scout on a map, also figure out, what to leave in, what to leave out, lighting issues, and also how to counteract those. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vrchat 101. I'm so glad that we actually got to do this. I mean, 24 episodes. 24 episodes! That's just mind-boggling. But anyway, if you guys want to see more of this, make sure you hit the like button, don't forget to comment, and also subscribe, and click the bell too, so that way you guys know whenever I upload. And I'll tell you one thing, folks, keep an eye out later this year, and as well as also the years to come, because there's some big stuff coming. Anyway, I'll see you folks next time, and until then, take care.